So this is a fairly common issue from a lot of beginner photographers. They would like to know what's the workflow in terms of after taking a photo, transferring to the computer, where should they start? Should they do Lightroom or Photoshop? Well, in this video that I'm going to show you is I'll show you my workflow on how I start all the way to finish. So hopefully you guys could stick around and let's get on with the intro. Thanks for sticking around. This is Matt and I am Photo Videoist. So I already have these photos with me on an SD card that I took 2 weeks ago. There was a car show here in um, Stevenson Convention in Illinois. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna plug this SD card on my computer. We're about to do that right now. Here we go. So it's on a G drive. Let's go ahead and open up our file folder over here. So these are all photos. Here we go. So I know I took a lot of photos in here, but what we're gonna do is we're just gonna copy like 10 of them or so. So let's just copy that, right? About 15 items, how about that? And then what I do next is I just copy it. There we go. So at least it's in the memory of our computer. And where are we gonna store it? We're gonna store it right on the D drive. This is where we're gonna put it in. So in the D drive, I'm gonna create a new folder called Cars 2022. All right. So inside Cars 2022, I'm gonna create 3 different folders. One folder would be LR, that stands for Lightroom. These were our project files. We're gonna create our project files in here. And we're gonna create another folder called Raw. This is where I'm gonna paste that copied files over to this folder. And the other one will be called Post. This is where I'm gonna export all the photos from Lightroom for me to edit in Photoshop. So in the meantime, since we already copied that files from the G drive, we're gonna paste it inside RAW. So this is the RAW file. So we go ahead and inside the RAW file folder, we paste it in, and it's gonna copy all those files over to this folder. All right, cool, nice. So let's close this window out. And just to have you guys know, I'm using Windows 10. So if you guys are using Mac OS 10, if you have a MacBook or Apple, unfortunately I don't have Mac or Apple, but it translates the same way. Just create a folder and all that stuff. So you will have to forgive me since I don't know much about MacBook stuff. Alright, so let's go ahead and fire up our Lightroom. Let's go ahead and open this thing up. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to create a new project folder. A project file in Lightroom. So everything in here is blank templates. What we do is we go to File, and then you want to create a new catalog. And then once we create a new catalog, we're going to go to the drive D, and inside Cars 2022, the folder we created, and then we go to LR folder. So this where right now is blank in here because there's nothing in here right now. And what we need to do is create a new name. Let's call it Cars 2022. Right? Makes sense. Skip this time. And then your Lightroom will close and will prompt to open itself again. So what you want to do now is you want to import these photos. Before we do that, you probably might get confused where you're supposed to be pulling your photos from. Lightroom will default itself to the latest plug storage file that you create, which is my SD card. That's where it's going to try to import it from. You don't want to import it from there. So first what we need to do is we need to disconnect that that drive that we plugged in. So on Windows, I always do this. I click on this, the safely remove mass storage device. Here you go, drive G, and save to remove it, and then you basically unplug it. I think for Macintosh, you have to take that drive and drag it to a trash bin to disconnect or remove itself safely. So now that we have that thing out of the way, once we click on import, it's not going to default itself to that drive anymore. It will then basically, it'll ask you to import them in whichever you want to import them. So obviously we have it on the D drive, and then we click on Cars 2022. I know by clicking on this thing, it'll select everything, but I would like to go right to the source because sometimes there's certain stuff in here that you don't want to be imported. So we select on raw, that's where we save those photos from, and then make sure they're all check marked as you see in here, and then you click on import. There we go. Just wait till it gets imported, and then you'll see all these in a thumbnail. And then now what you want to do is you want to do a process of elimination. So first we go to develop in this tab over here, and we're not going to edit them yet. I'm going to do a process of elimination. I rate the photo from 1 to 5. So I typically just do 4 to 5 or 3 to 5. Typically that's how I do it before I edit them. You can use your number key or numpad to rate them. So this photo, probably I gave it like a 4. Yeah, so 4. Go to the next one. Oh, I like this one. It's a 5. I gave it a 5. All right, cool. And then, oh, this one's a 5. This one's a 5. This one's a 5. Say this one's 5. This one's a 5 too. This one's a 5. This one I'll make it like a 4. To me, my translation when it comes to 4 is like, okay, 4, I'm 50-50 if I want it or not. 5 is like for sure I want it, you know. So this one's a 5. This one's say a 4. This one's a 5. This one let's say a 4 because she's kind of looking to the side, but maybe I can work something out like cropping it or something like that, you know. So this one would be a 5, and this one would be a 5. So once I've done that, let's say, okay, so I made the 5. Sometimes I review what I want to review. Okay, so let's review the 4s if we want to keep them or not. 5s are for sure. So there's this thing in here called filter. Since I rated them, you select that, and then rating is greater than or equal to. But for now, I want to do rating is equal to 4. So you highlight that. So these are the 4 photos, right, that we need to see. Do we keep it or not keep it? Not gonna keep that one. Looks like she's blinking. This one is a little too dark. Let's see if we can restore some of them. Not bad, you know, but still. Let's pretend I decide not to go for this one, right? Still a 4. This one, let's see if we can get it. Oh, this one's pretty nice. You know what? I want to make this thing a 5. So what you do, since we selected 4 in this one, let's press 5. It will disappear from this list because now you're rated as 5. This one, maybe you can edit it. Let's say, okay, cool. But it seems incomplete. But I'm like, leave it at 4. I don't want it. Alright, so now let's go to 5. So these are all the chosen 5 photos that we do. So basically that's how I go through the process of elimination. And this is the part where I edit them. So now, you know, you have all these sliders on the side. And then everyone has their own color theory and such. Color grading and their style. I'm just going to go through this thing I'm just going to go through it really quick. Not going to get into in depth on it because we want to go through Photoshop right away. So for now, this one's like pretty dark. Leave it like that. I'm just gonna do that really quick. Highlight, shadow, this, clarity. Go. Then add a little bit of that. Maybe 3400. 3400. There we go. Actually, I like it better. It's like 3700. Yeah. Okay. And then you can change the hue, saturation, and light color. So HSL, color grading in here if you want. It's up to you. Oh, I love this because this one has that noise reduction thing. Boop. Boom. Noise are gone. No noise. And this way, check the lens correction profile. Make sure you grab your lens correctly. And I tend to do this a lot too, because every 35mm lens, they have, you know, a lot of lenses, they have barrel distortion on them. So a person could appear thicker than they are. So I like to always add the aspect ratio of 20, 15 or 20. Then there you go. So this, you know, so it kind of slims it down a little bit. And then you can even add vignette in here, you know. Boop, boop, boop. It's pretty cool. Let's add that. And then you can always change the calibration in here. So let's pretend I'm satisfied with this. I like the color, blah blah. So what I do now is, I know you can create your own presets, but me personally, I like to edit each and every photo. But if it makes your job a lot easier just by adding preset, then go for it. So anyways, what I'm gonna do now is I'm satisfied with this photo. I press copy. You can select whichever you like, but I just keep it as default. So I'll press copy, and then go next photo, and then I would click paste. That's a little too bright. Just lower it down. There you go. Looks fine. And paste. I just go through each photo that are similar or same lighting, and I would just like paste them. You know, so there you go. I mean, that one's a little too green. You can always edit them the way you like. There you go. Let's add a little bit more tint to liven it up a little bit, the colors. There you go. Boop. And then since they're humans, obviously I would like to add that 20 thing. I like that color actually, so let's copy that. Since I like this color, sometimes I could go back to my old photos and I'm like, you know what, I like that color, I'll add that. I'll paste that too, because I copied this one, I'll paste it in here. It looks so much better now. Next photo, I'll go paste. Then I'll add the aspect ratio on this thing. This one's a little bit, maybe let's warm it up a little bit. There you go, it's a little better. So I'll copy this one again because I'm satisfied. Then I'll go for this one because the lighting is the same. There you go. So I like the color is consistent. Same thing, I'll add the aspect ratio in here. Then in here, obviously I'll just do a paste. I don't need to do any slimming down of the car. There we go. Alright, cool. So I'm satisfied with that. Let's say I'm satisfied with this. This one, let's go ahead and, ooh, that's a little too bright. Let's change it up a little bit, make it more warmer. This 10. There you go. Let's pretend I'm satisfied with this, but let me add a little bit of, there you go. Right. So I'll go ahead and copy this because I'm going to the next one with the same lighting. I do the same thing in here, and then I do the same thing in here. And then you can always adjust, you know, like that and post. So at least this way it'll save you time in Photoshop when you're editing these photos. So let's pretend we already done with this, and these are all 5 ratings, the photos. What you do next is you want to export these photos, right? So you can click on library, and then you select the first photo, and then press and hold shift and select the last photo. So that highlights all the photos that you just edited. There are 5 obviously. And then there's this button here called export. Click on that. Then from export, you want to click on specific folder because you want to save it to that one folder we created, right? Click that and then click on choose. And then obviously in the D drive, you click on Cars 2022. This is the folder we created. So now we're going to Photoshop. So you want to put in post. Actually, you can even rename this PS like Photoshop. It's up to you. So let's click on that. Obviously, there's nothing in here. And what you want to do is you want to click select folder. You just want to select the folder. You can create a subfolder, but you don't need to since I already created post. You want to rename it. Custom settings. You click on edit. And then let's name it as Cars 2022. Actually, it's already there already. So click on done. And what you want to do next is right under file settings. It's up to you if you want to choose JPEG or TIFF or original. It's up to you really. But typically if I'm doing high fashion stuff, I would put it in TIFF, and so it has the highest quality you can get. JPEG will try to it's a destructive photo. It compresses it by a lot. But I typically go for TIFF, compression none. Bit depth is 8 bits. You can have 16-bit if you want, but I don't have any transparency, so transparency layer in this photo, so I'm just leave it as 8-bit. You can resize the imaging size. You can resize the fit if you want by inches or pixels, up to you. But I would, since I want it to be in high quality, I'll just keep it as unchecked, and make sure if you want to edit the photo in high quality, at least 250 resolution. Typically it's like 350. It's really good, but I want to save some space, so 250 is fine. So okay, and then right on output sharpening, it's up to you if you want to do that. I don't touch that. Metadata, I typically just choose copyright only, but you can have a lot more stuff in there if you want. As for watermarking, this is the area where, let's say you have hundreds of photos and you want to have watermark on them automatically. Once you export this is where you go. You create your own watermark, edit watermarks, and create it your way, however you want. But typically, let's say if I'm doing fashion, I don't add the watermark on this because I plan to edit it in high quality in Photoshop, and then I would add a watermark in Photoshop. But in this case, for best practices, this car show, we want to upload this to Facebook, edit it in Photoshop in high quality, and upload it in Facebook or social media. Then yes, add the watermark in here, so you don't have to worry about doing hundreds of photos adding watermark. Lightroom will do it for you. So I can do more in depth in this maybe in the future tutorials, but for now let's leave it as that. So I'm gonna leave this as the watermark, and then I click on export. Now you will see in the top left, you'll see a status bar that is exporting these 12 photos that we created. So we just wait till that's done. So now that is pretty much done. What we do now is we close Lightroom. Do you want to quit? Yes. Now just to double check, we have the files and folders, the files exported successfully. You would click on that D drive. We'll go to Cars 2022. We saved it in post. Here are the photos. You can review them too if you like, but let's make it extra blur. So these are the photos that we exported. They're in TIFF file now. So with that being said, we're gonna open up Photoshop. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Photoshop, Photoshop 2022. Once we fire that up, and this is the area where you will do your editing. So right, you fire as soon as you fire Photoshop, you click on open, and we go for Cars 2022, and then inside post, that's where we have these photos. So let's say I want to edit this photo over here, right? So you can see the let's click open. As you can see, there's this watermark in here already. So if you'd like to see some of these photos I have on my Patreon side, just a little plug in there. You guys can subscribe to it and support my work. So in Photoshop, we are gonna be editing this photo. So let's say this is the photo that I want to edit. Okay, let's do a little bit liquify in there, so to make them even more prettier, right? So I'll do liquify first, so make sure this thing's selected. So this is the part where you typically edit your photos typically. So this is my process typically. So I can slim this thing down a little bit. There you go. I love working with Liquify. Typically it's like fashion tool. That's how I would do it. So it's like a very, very powerful tool. So now you guys are learning advanced stuff in here. Just kind of clean up certain things in here and there. Make sure everything looks good. Okay, cool. So that looks fine. So at least the pants will be too tight. And then let's say you have things in here. This is where you do all your editing. And then I would just do this. Like healing brush tool, clone stamp tool. And then get rid of these. There we go. Blah, blah. Clean them up. Excellent, excellent. Alright, looks pretty good. So, and then at the same time, you do your brush this thing down. You do your dodge burning, your clone stamp, your, pretty much everything. So, and then you can even do further color correction in here too. So let's say I can do here, I'll do this selective color, right? You can change your reds to this, you kind of enhance it a little bit more. It's not as good as Lightroom, because in Lightroom you're actually editing it in raw file. However, if we export the files from Lightroom as original, you can edit this in raw file as well. But the process is just very, very painful. It's like too much. It's better to just export things in TIFF file if you want to go to Photoshop. It's better, at the same time, it's better to just edit them all in Lightroom if you plan to finalize it right away. Otherwise, if you plan to do some kind of correction, like what I'm doing, like I'm correcting the little holes in the shirt. I want to align this area over here on her waist. That's where you use Photoshop. Probably clean up some stuff in here, like a little hair. Oops, a little hair. Hair flyaways, like these things, because this is very hard to remove in Lightroom. So let's say this hair flyaways, if you could see that is, and this is where you do this is how you edit them all in Photoshop. So okay, cool. I think it looks pretty good. So let's say that's done. We already did all the editing that we need. Do the Liquify and color correction and stuff like that. I can add a little taste of your color grading by going color lookup and then adding, I don't know, this and 30%. You do a little bit of like, oh cool, like I like this look. It's like film color grading and stuff. See that, that kind of stuff. Then let's say you want to add a little bit of pizzazz in here, like screen, and then do like 40% or I don't know, let's say 5%, add a little bit of that. It's really your call. The ball is in your court. Your creativity is endless in this. So let's pretend that that's done. Pretty much you want to export this photo, right? So you click on File, then click on Save a Copy. Don't get it confused with the Save As. They have different options, but trust me on this. I would like to explain this more, but I don't want to prolong the video too much. I just want to get straight to the point. So do save a copy, and then right in here, either you create a new folder. Let's create a new folder in here. Actually, you can create any way you want, but I'm gonna create it under post because I wanna keep things organized. So I create a new folder. I go final render, right? Or final edit. How about that? Final edit. And then inside that folder, we click on this save as type and make sure you save as JPEG, right? And then just click on save. You can rename it however you like to, you know, but the Photoshop will automatically name it for you, which is nice. So you click on save, and obviously you want to keep it as maximum, right? Then click on OK. And now that's there. Let's check on that file, right? Make sure it's saved safely. These are all the TIFF file that we have, and then this is the final edit. Here it is. Double click on it. Make sure you look at it. Everything looks good. You zoom it. Like all those flyaways are gone, and then that little ripped clothes are gone in here. And then we fixed her side in here. So yeah, that's it, guys. So hopefully you guys find this valuable, and I'll go more in depth on editing and stuff. So hopefully you guys find this useful. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe to the channel, and then come and visit me again next time. Alright, talk to you guys later. See ya.